Hey folks, this is April Berry from Kidlit Meet and Greet, and I'm super excited because today we have an extra special guest. Her name is Rae Harbuck, and you may have seen her on Twitter. That's where I've seen her. And I was super excited when she said that she would come on our podcast because she's one of those people. Every time I interact with her on Twitter, I think I would like this person in real life. I'd like to know her. So very cool. You guys get to know her along with me.
Yeah.
Ryan, would you like to say hi and tell us about how you got started with your Kidlit journey?
Yes. Hi. So I think my kidlit journey, I was thinking about this earlier today, started long before I actually knew that it started. I have two kids. I have a 4-year-old and a 10-year-old. And ever since my 10-year-old was a baby for his birthday, I would write and illustrate a book for him. And I'd like run to Kinko's, it's not Kinko's anymore, and get it bound and recopied to look nice. And so now I have, books for my youngest. We've got gobs, we've got shelves, stacks of these silly little books that I've been writing for years that usually stem from something that they were interested in at the time or something they said that was silly. And it wasn't until I think maybe like a year or so ago after I had published my own memoir that I realized like, hey, actually, my kids are still reading these books and they're on their, they have like, I don't know if all kids are like this, but my kids have like different shelves and they kind of like put them in order of their priority. And it's like the shelf that's closest to the door is like the number one books. And so, and I, had started seeing those books kind of show up on their number one shelves. And so that kind of got me really more interested in picture books, but then also I mentioned my oldest is 10 and he's like an incredible reader, always has been, loves, just absorbs books on a daily basis. And he probably in about second grade was reading like a lot of the series books that are more geared towards boys that are I don't want to say negative, but kind of negative, like about school or about parents being uncool or annoying. And I really didn't like that. And so I took it upon myself to write my own middle grade book. And so I have, just a middle grade manuscript sitting on my computer right now that's, I feel is really positive and sends like really great messages to kids of that age about, dealing with growing up and being different, or how everybody is a little bit different and deals with things on their own. And so I guess that's kind of how a long answer for how I kind of got started. And so I'm really new at this still. And I was just telling you, April, that I'm like Googling things every day, kidlit wise, like, well, what does this mean? What is this contest? What is this, this term that everybody's using that I don't understand? And so some of your listeners may be able to kind of understand where I'm at in my journey, because you maybe do, and just kind of starting off and realizing that it's a vast community, but it's a tight-knit community, and there's so many opportunities to I think learn and grow as long as you're willing to be part of that. It was a
Yeah,
long answer.
I love long answers because I want to know everything about you.
Oh,
Everything.
awesome. Good.
I think that's so cool about your kids and their number one bookshelf. And
Yeah.
it's like you have your own focus group to know, like, is this good or not good?
Sure, but it's also like pretty like centric around the things that they like anyway. But yeah, but I had just recently my youngest, he had to make for his school, he had to make a picture frame of his favorite book, and he immediately grabbed one of the books that I made him, and I was like, "Oh, well, I'm not sure your teacher's gonna know who Redbird Leopard is. I'm not sure that's gonna like vibe well." And he was like, "No, no, this is my favorite book." So it was really cute. And so I feel
Oh,
they make me validated, even if nobody else in the entire universe will ever read my books. They read my books. So
hmm. Kids are the best.
yeah, yeah.
Aw. Oh, so we already kind of talked about our first question. What made you start writing for children? How
Yeah,
about
there
the
we go.
next one? Where do your ideas come from?
I would say a lot of them come from my children, or like I kind of mentioned, like the inspiration for the lack. of things I'm seeing in some of kidlit literature. And a lot of the stories that I write that aren't just for my kids, I'm writing them with wheelchair user protagonists because I myself am a wheelchair user. I was in an accident, a car accident when I was 16. And so like sort of out of that, kidlit range for reading, but I am quite positive that if I would have experienced more exposure to people in wheelchairs in books when I was younger, I think that maybe when I became a wheelchair user when I was paralyzed, I think that maybe the transition wouldn't have been so stark for myself. And so I do have a lot of passion for sharing stories with people that do use wheelchairs. One, because I know firsthand and I can
Right.
speak a lot to feelings and struggles and challenges and accomplishments. And but I also think that there really still, there really still is like a lack for that in the younger books.
Yeah, I think you're probably right about that. And I could see how that would really help with the adjustment period.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, even if it was like, something that I read when I was a kid that I didn't really necessarily felt like I connected to at the time, but then, flash forward 10 years or whatever, I still think I would have held on to some of what I learned from that book, or just realizing that it wasn't that big of a deal. I think is a lot of it is that a wheelchair user is a person first and foremost. And so, a lot of the stories that I'm writing aren't centered on what happened to this person or, why they're different, but the fact that they are different.
Love that. What do you enjoy most about being a writer?
Oh, I think I enjoy, it's almost like I get to be a part of a different world for a little bit. And it's almost like having a dream or something and being able to be creative, just for myself at that moment. I'm not sharing it with anybody. And it's like a really nice quiet time. And I think that just having the sort of notion that when you write something down, like that can be forever. And, I published my memoir and it's, not nobody knows about it, but it will be there forever if I want it to be. And I feel like that's like really, really cool. And I think that I've always really admired writers, even when I was like very young. I always thought that writing was really cool. I remember in elementary school, we had like a writer in residence come and I just thought it was like the coolest opportunity to be able to hear this person speak and share sort of their stories. So
Yeah, it's fun to see how many writers dreamt of being a writer when they were a kid.
yeah, it's true.
It is very cool. What challenges have you run across and how have you handled those so far?
I think the number one challenge is just the time to write. I have younger kids at home. I do have two jobs. I work part-time at my kids' school, and then I also um, own and run a swim team with my husband in the evenings. And so I've sort of, in the last couple of years, I've taught myself to write in about like 7-minute spurts. And I've realized that even if I'm not actively writing or, putting together something, my brain is always thinking about stuff. The notes app on my phone is outrageous, like looking at like some of the comments I leave myself or some of like the starts of things. And but I've learned that I can kind of go throughout my day thinking about things and molding things in my head. And then when I get the opportunity to sit down, I use every single millisecond to my advantage. And I don't know how many times I have sat we have one bathroom in our house. We have a very tiny house. I sat in the bathroom while my kid's in the bath and sat and typed and wrote stories or essays or whatever, just while he's taking a bath. And I had to make that work. And it does work because my other choice is I don't write. So
Right. Yeah, where there's a will, there's a way.
right.
I use my notes app all the time too. And I work the same exact way. Like it works in the background of your head while you're doing other things, especially
Totally.
driving.
And sometimes better. Sometimes
Yes.
I come up with much better things when I'm not staring at my screen.
Hmm. Not on the script of the questions I sent you, but do you ever dream about your stories? Sometimes I dream about mine and answers come to me.
Yeah, a little bit. Or I've even had it to where, because I'm also working on like an adult novel right now. I've had it to where I had a dream and it was like, oh my God, that's going to be in my story, kind of thing. So yeah,
See, I knew
yep.
you and I were going to get along. So, wow, you write all over the place because you've got the picture books, the middle grade, you've got the memoir, and you said you've got an adult fiction that you're working on as well.
Yeah, I guess I just can't get enough of all the writing.
Oh, do you feel more drawn to one genre than another, or you just enjoy the challenge of all of it?
I think I enjoy the challenge of all of it. For a while, I was very heavily working on my middle grade while I was working on my adult novel. And I realized that I had to like completely write in different fonts and just kind of like visually have it be different so that I didn't cross somewhere. But I feel like very connected to each piece for different reasons. And I think that's sort of like why I've been writing different things, is because I've got different things in me that, like probably shouldn't be in a middle grade novel or a picture book that I need to save for the adult book.
Great. Um, that's a genius hack with the different fonts. I've, I've never thought of that, but it makes sense because I do some of that too, where I jump from one genre to another, and it does
Yeah,
get confusing in
yeah,
your
try
head.
it.
Genius. I like it. Uh, let's see. Oh, what kind of atmosphere do you like when you write?
So ideally, my ideal setting for writing is we live in this like small little neighborhood, and about zero point 0.8 miles from us is a Starbucks. And so I will walk to the Starbucks or roll to the Starbucks. And so while I'm going there, that's when I can start getting my mind situated, like what I'm going to focus on for my writing session or what I need to work on, what I'm still like kind of molding in my head. And then I'll just sit and power write at at Starbucks, have my latte, whatever. And then what I didn't realize is super important is the walk home. Because then after I'm done with the writing, close my computer, then there's like always something left. It's either like what the direction that I'm going, or did I miss something? And that piece has become like really important to me, to kind of like have like bookends of that time where I can't write, where I'm actually like actively moving. I think has really helped me become a better writer. So when I get the
Yeah,
opportunity, that's what I do.
that's very cool too. Like I never really writing in a coffee shop has never been attractive to me, but now I could see the benefit of that. That's very
Well, and
cool.
because of my kids, I've learned to like completely tune out the world. Like I know nothing else is happening outside of me when I'm actually writing.
Yeah.
It could be a
When
fire, actually.
when I'm in public, I'm always worried somebody's going to be looking over my shoulder reading what I write. I don't know why that bothers me, but I hate that.
I see that. That's fair. That's fair.
Uh, what has been most helpful to you in getting your story submission ready?
Oh, yeah. I don't know. Maybe I need somebody else's advice on that. I am still so new at this that I'm constantly Googling. I think Twitter, whatever it's called, is amazing because there are so many writers in that community that want to share what they've learned, what their struggle is. And so just really honing in and paying attention to that, I think has been really helpful. Um, I haven't done any sort of like conferences or um, any, I don't even, I can't even think of the word, like a webinar or anything like that. I haven't done anything like that. I keep telling myself like, hold off, wait until, because I'm not super stable with my writing. Like I said, it's 7 minutes every couple days. And so if I get to a place where I feel like I'm more writer than blank, more writer than para at the school, more writer than laundry person. If I can get to that point, then perhaps I will be able to spend more time. I think I'm in this like weird stage right now where I'm telling myself like this is actually important. Like put it on the calendar, and
Right.
so that's I think some people might be able to relate to that, especially people that aren't writing full time. That I have to give myself the opportunity, just like any other job.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. It's hard. And then when you do start going to the webinars, it's that's a struggle too, because there's so many and you've got to pick and choose. This one's going to be the right fit for me or this one. And they all look fascinating.
Right, exactly. And I mean, I've looked at all of these things and I'm like, I'm not there yet. I'm not there yet. And yeah, and so I can't answer that question because I, with my middle grade novel, that's really the one that I have tried to get submission ready, and I've had some beta readers, and I've got the query letter and the synopsis and the pitch and all the things, but I know deep down I'm not there yet.
You'll get there.
Yeah.
I have faith in you.
Thank you.
What is your ultimate dream as a writer?
I often think about that because I think with like my memoir, I like, come on, Oprah, take my book. Like that's where I'm at with my memoir. But the reality of it is like very silly because I don't actually pay any attention to how much money I've made. I have no idea how much money I've made with my memoir, and nor will I ever because it's like is not my priority. But I do constantly refresh how many people have bought that book and where it's at. And I'm still trying to market it. And it's like super painful when you're self-published, but I really care about it. And so I think as a writer, like I do want my work in people's hands. Like, but do I need to be a bestseller? I don't think that that's necessarily like what I need, but if that's the thing that's going to get my book in a library or an elementary school class, like I think that it's just that I guess I think that my stories are important, and hopefully everybody else thinks that their stories are important too, and so they you don't understand that. But I think that being successful for me is having my book accessible to anybody that wants it.
Yeah. Being successful is being bred.
Hmm.
Absolutely. Um, what projects are you most excited about these days?
Ha! Uh, I laugh because I've got like, oh, I don't know, like 54 tabs open on my computer right now, and probably
Oh,
like
you're one of those people.
and like I don't know, like 9 or 10 Word docs open of different things. And I'm sort of like at this weird place where I really through the summer really focused on my middle grade book and really wanted to get it in a place where I could get an agent for it. Having self-published my memoir, I was fine with that. It was my memoir, my story. I wanted full control over it. But I feel like in the kidlit world, trying to self-publish is a lot harder, and getting your book out there is got to be a lot harder. And so I really, really would love to traditionally publish that. And so my focus really was on that middle grade book, going into the fall. And then I took this like wild 3-day trip to Paris and started working on my novel. And so then like my ideas shift, and I was like totally suckered into my novel for a while. And then all of a sudden the first of the year, everything is like kidlit this, picture book that. And so I've really like kind of like shifted again. And so I've been pulling up some of the picture books that I've written for my kids, or I um, have been working on other ones that I thought like, well, this might be a good fit for this contest, or this might be a good fit for what I've been working on with my middle grade, and like a picture book level. And so that I'm all over the place, and I have not honed in on one single thing, and that might be my problem now that the words are coming out of my mouth.
I think I have the same problem if it helps any. Yeah. My favorite project is whatever one is right in front of me at that very moment.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, that's kind of where I'm at. It's like I opened that for a reason, and so that's going to be what I'm working on.
Hmm. Yeah. What are you reading these days? Anything good?
Oh, well, I'll tell you what my kids are reading.
Okay, I want to hear all about it.
So my oldest kid, his entire class is obsessed with the Warrior Cat series, like
My daughter too.
to the point that he made his Valentine's Day box into a Warrior Cat. and actually got on Canva and made his own warrior cat Valentine's that we had to laminate for all of his classmates. Like there is a huge obsession there. And so that's pretty cool to see. And then my youngest, he's a great kid. He's like loves all the girls in his class. So he is obsessed with all of the pinkalicious things in the entire world. He came home yesterday from the library with Grumpy Monkey, and he's like, just thinks that is like the silliest, greatest book ever. So I'm mostly reading what my kids are reading because there are not a lot of opportunities elsewhere.
Yeah, you're a busy person. So busy. Ooh. Tell me, what is um, something you can't live without and why?
My kids, like that
Aw.
hand. Yeah. I mean, if I had to pick something tangible, I don't know what I would pick, but for these purposes, like my kids, they're like what keep me going. They're the ones that center me, ground me. Um, I think any of you guys that have kids understand this. They cause you to really think about and reflect on who you are and what you're doing based off of like what you're telling them is important. And so, yeah.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. I always look at who do I want them to grow up to be and how am I going to model that for them?
Really, yeah. Keep me in check.
All right, here's a fun question for you. If you could be any animal, which one would you choose and why?
So I have always said I would be a narwhal. One, because swimming has been a huge part of my life before and after being a wheelchair user. Like I said, my husband and I own a swim team. Swimming has always been a piece of my life. And I've even been known to say that swimming has saved me over the years in different ways. And I think a narwhal is just crazy enough that, it's got a horn, it lives in the Arctic, and it's like that swimming unicorn thing that is just a little bit off. And I feel like that speaks to me.
Love it. I like it a lot. Can you let us know where can we find you online and on social media?
So I'm pretty much everywhere I can be at Rae Harbuck. Um, and just mostly because of marketing yourself and marketing myself for my memoir has been super important. So pretty much everywhere is Rae Harbuck, and I have a website at Rae Harbuck, and I've been trying desperately to keep that more up to date. I even started a newsletter last month, and that was super fun, and I didn't think it was going to be. So if anybody hasn't tried it, go for it. It's super fun.
Yeah, I subscribed. I can vouch for it. It's good. Lots
Okay.
of good information. You had a good idea for your newsletters.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome. Well, Ryan, I can verify for everyone that's watching is just as delightful in person as she seems online. This has been so much fun getting to know you in the real world, kind of, sort of.
Right. We're almost there. It's almost real.
And thank you again so much for coming on today. I'm really glad to have had you.
Yeah.
If folks watching online, if you enjoyed the video, make sure you like and subscribe. Leave a comment for Ryan if you would like to. And we'll catch you next time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh,
Bye.
where do I stop the recording? Oh, I found it.